you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And how are we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It's that time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, man, prophet of the airways, along with my co-host, Joe. You can't handle the truth, Hakos. And we are here to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. So we're glad you took this fine Monday and a special day here on Monday. And so I'm going to just bring on my good buddy here, Joe Hakos, and he will explain to you what's going on. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I am doing great, John. Glad everybody's out there. Glad to have them back. It's Monday. So, hey, happy Monday. Great to have everybody with us. And I would just like to start off the show because 72 years ago today, this was the order of the day.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944. Much has happened since the Nazi triumphs of 1940-41. The United Nations have inflicted upon the Germans great defeats in open battle, man to man. Our air offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. Our home fronts have given us an overwhelming superiority in weapons and munitions of war, and placed at our disposal great reserves of trained fighting men. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Yes, that was then General Dwight Eisenhower, June 6, 1944, D-Day, the liberation of Europe. And again, we here at the Conservative Syndicate will honor these folks every chance we get, because without them, we might be speaking some other languages. So the free men of the world are marching together in victory, and we're doing that here today.
Yeah, very well done, very well done. I actually, it's coincidental. Yesterday afternoon, while I was relaxing, couple of hours I get on Sunday to actually relax, and I was watching a documentary. I don't remember the name of the show. It's something like History Forgotten or something like that. And they did a segment on there on generals, and they were talking about Dwight Eisenhower and Douglas MacArthur.
Okay.
And it was interesting, the history that they showed about Dwight Eisenhower, and the reason he was promoted to general, as the head of the entire armed forces. Dwight I'm sorry, my mouth is all messed up. Dwight Eisenhower never served a day in combat his entire career. You know that?
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay, but the reason he made it up the ranks and the reason he was chosen by Harry Truman to lead the D-Day invasion was because he was a logistics expert. He had coming up through the ranks with just a remarkable ability to organize. And they thought, who better than to organize all of this that was going to take place on D-Day than Dwight Eisenhower? And, they kind of outlined some of the logistics and some of the things, and people don't remember this. A lot of people don't remember this. But he not only had to organize American forces, but there were foreign forces also.
Oh, yeah. That was the major reason why, someone like Patton didn't get chosen to be Sinkia of the Army. That's why, definitely MacArthur, because let's face it, Ike was a better politician.
Oh, yeah.
And he was able to hold together the coalition that we had, or the Allied forces, because you had, let's just face it, there's a lot of prima donnas over there, including Patton and Field Marshal Montgomery from the British side, and then you had the Canadians guys and, Australians. I mean, this truly was a world war. So Ike was able to hold these people together and get them to move in more or less one direction.
Yeah.
Since December 7, 1941 was on two separate fronts around the world. I mean, first, you had the European battles going on, and then, the Japanese decided to do their little treachery and sneak attack us on a Sunday morning in December, in which Barack Obama doesn't think it's very honorable. And then, you have the Brian Williamses of the world saying we were the only nation to drop atomic weapons in anger. I went over this last week while you were out on vacation. But Ike was just probably the right guy at the right time to do it. I mean, it does take a special talent.
Well, even more remarkable was the fact that, and something you just don't see today, more remarkable was that as D-Day was getting ready to take place, as they were beginning to commence the movement and everything else, he actually made a statement before the people that he had to make statements before, saying basically, if this fails, the only person to blame is me. It was like he was willing to take on the full responsibility. If this fails, if it does not happen right, there's nobody else to blame but me.
Yes, and that was you can see that online. You can find that particular address that was never made because D-Day did happen, and we were able to get a beachhead, and we were able to go ahead and start the liberation of Europe.
Right.
So didn't have to do it, but yes, he was willing, and was going to take full responsibility. Unlike certain other people we see these days, who just can't seem to take responsibility for their actions. In fact, they let that dribble on down to just about everything in society now.
Yep, and it's always somebody else's fault. And no one better exemplifies this than our current president, who just seems to think, and we're going to talk about this later on in the show, out there touting his great accomplishments as president. Basically says the reason everything is still kind of in flux and messed up and not moving as fast as it should, because we all know socialism the only reason socialism has failed is because the right person has not implemented it, but it's because of previous administrations, not just George Bush. But previous administrations are the ones that have, because of everything they've done before he came in office, hasn't been able. That so much exemplifies what goes on today. You don't have anybody in the military. You don't have anybody in politics. You don't have anybody at any level. You don't even have people in the church level willing to take responsibility for what's going on within their respective demographics and within their respective fields of quote unquote expertise. That kind of thing. So it's just the nature of the beast. Hey, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue Well, we'll get on to something else, but we'll continue talking here because that's what we do. All right, stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, and we were just talking about today is the, 72nd or 72nd anniversary of D-Day?
72 years ago.
The big 7-2. And just another case of remembrance. You know, I along this line, this is something I've been noticing lately. I don't know if you have, Joe, but I have. So many of the things that we do in this country or have done in the past in this country that are so traditional to who we are, and actually part of our heritage, really, is just gone to wayside. And just a quick example, a couple of things here. Easter just was, where were we at here, June? Easter was just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, well, every Easter, there are certain things, when I was growing up, back in the day, if I can use a cliche, back in the day, there were certain things that took place during the Easter holiday. And one of them was movies about Jesus. The greatest story ever told, things like that. Actually, one of my favorite movies about Jesus, and people may think I'm a heretic for this, is Jesus Christ Superstar. I just happen to like the movie. And it doesn't really matter to me whether it's biblical or not in that sense. I just liked their depiction of it, and I liked the music, and I liked the people that were in it and stuff like that. Not to sit there and say, I thought it was a true depiction of Jesus, but even less a true depiction of Judas. But it was a good story, just a good musical story. It's something I related to on the holidays. The same thing with The Last Temptation. And these are movies that I look at. I look at it I try to see it through the eyes of the people that wrote it. Not necessarily, from my own religious experience. It's just, it's interesting to take in other people's views on how they see things.
Okay.
And, things like that. But the greatest story ever told. On Easter Sunday, I could not find a single channel with a single movie outside of the Trinity Broadcasting Network. Okay, which is
it's what they do.
That's what they do. Christmas time. One of the movies that we always looked forward to at Christmas time was It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
Okay, and the 1933 Reginald Owen version of The Christmas Carol. I used to watch these things religiously every single Christmas. Couldn't find them on the TV this year at all, anywhere. Just not there.
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
And the only movie I saw, in fact, one channel played it back to back to back, is called The Christmas Story, and it's about the kid who wanted a BB gun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you left us out there. You're all into gun control. Why would you be showing a movie on Christmas about a kid who wants a BB gun? But that kind of thing, and that it goes hand in hand with this stuff, with these holidays honoring veterans. I was really surprised. We were on the ship when Memorial Day was here. It was our last day on cruise.
Okay.
And I was surprised that Barack Obama gave a speech at Arlington Cemetery, because more times than not during his administration, he's passed that off to Joe Biden. And so, the only other time he did give the speech, he actually cut it short because he was afraid of the rain. I don't know if you all remember that, but he was there and he called off the entire ceremony because he was afraid that since they're in a graveyard, that lightning might strike somebody. So I'm kind of like, this kind of stuff saddens me, that we don't have that our heritage little by little is being wiped out and replaced with crap. I don't know what else was playing on Easter, but I know what there was. It was a Will Ferrell movie marathon. Okay,
well, it goes to that piece that we did the end of last week. The end of last week with the Who Stole Our Culture.
Right, exactly.
It's exactly, those are examples of exactly that.
Yeah, exactly. We talked in depth about the media's effect, the entertainment industry, and none of these people, it's being replaced but with crap that means absolutely nothing to a generation that knows absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I saw a report where the Obama administration, you remember when he first got elected, they were doing that, hey, everybody, do these entertainers, I don't know, these Hollywood type, whatever. I mean, these ding dongs. I don't want to really give them any credit because they are ding dongs. But hey, use your position as an entertainer or somebody that has a larger microphone and go out and exalt Mr. Obama in whatever fashion you want. And now they're out there. I see that the administration is out there putting out the narrative, put out a script for the for these entertainers to do the Obama administration's bidding on social media.
Yeah, and it's all, there's a reason why they call them fanatics. The word fan is a short version of fanatic because...
Yeah, but usually that's a connotation for a sports team kind of deal.
Yeah. Well,
not something so as every day in and day out effects on people's lives. I mean, if the Golden State Warriors don't win the basketball championship this year, really, who does it affect other than the people on that team?
Right. Well, even so, and there's something I want. Let me say this about that: the politicizing of the rivalry between LeBron James and Stephen Curry. I listened to these sports idiots talking the other day, in-depth commentary between them, and all of them were clueless. I don't remember who it was. People I don't even know, but I know they were basketball people, okay? I don't watch sports very much. Very, very, very little. And but my kid was watching it, so I was kind of just sitting there watching it. So anyway, how much more attention Stephen Curry gets, not because of his basketball skill, but because, one, he's light-skinned, so people have a higher opinion of him because he's light-skinned, and two, he touts his Christianity. And they were talking about how these two aspects of his character make people more biased against LeBron James. So the debate was which one of them is really the better basketball player.
Because of his appearance and his faith,
right?
And who said? I don't know. I really don't care. I mean, LeBron James. Really, he doesn't have. I don't care. It's his business. I don't really care. The thing is why does it have to even be public about either one of their faith?
Yeah,
unless they make it that way.
Yeah, it's totally irrelevant when you're on a basketball court.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, God gave him superhuman powers, and now he can broad jump and fly from one end of the court to the other in the air in a single bound, like Superman.
Yeah, well, they were just debating on which one of them was. I guess what the debate started with was that Stephen Curry and LeBron James were both downplaying the rivalry. They were trying, both of them doing what professional athletes do. They were trying to elevate the team above themselves.
Why give someone some locker room material, bulletin board material?
Yeah.
Just you don't want to give too much to the other team because, well, they'll come in and whoop your butt.
yeah. Well, they were, you could tell what they were doing. LeBron James and Stephen Curry. What they were trying to do was minimize the trash talk.
Yeah.
And so they're basically like, LeBron James is just another opponent, and LeBron James, Stephen Curry is just another opponent, and we're going to go out there and we're going to work it as a team and we're going to do what we can to win, blah, blah, blah. Everything that every athlete spouts out during the championship series.
Yeah.
So, but I guess it just wasn't enough for the sportscasters, so they had to interject something else into it so that they would have something else to talk about.
Was this on ESPN, by the way?
I believe it was.
Yeah,
yes.
well, that's the thing about ESPN anymore. It's run by ABC, so they have to do this. Mm-hmm. They feel they have to do it. They have to politicize everything. They just do it. They do it all day long in football, especially. Football is becoming. I'm surprised. Seriously, they don't come out there in little ballerina tutus anymore. I'm serious because they are trying to demasculate the entire population.
Oh, yeah.
The American male. I'm serious. I'm just waiting for it one day. They've done it all over the place, and why it has to hit into sports is just beyond me.
Well, things to me like along that line. It's one of the reasons I quit watching football. Football used to be a game that was pretty much brawn. It was like who's going to be stronger and faster, quicker than the other side. And now they're trying to make all these rules. It's kind of like the way that leftists look at war today. We fight a war without killing anybody.
Yeah, you got to minimize the collateral damage.
Yeah, how can we fight a war without killing innocent people?
Well, I mean,
It's the same thing with football. Football's the same way.
Let's face it, it's a brutal game.
You know, you can't hit the quarterback anymore.
Well, yeah, that's true. I haven't been able to do that for a while. I mean, put a dress on them.
Yeah. Or you see the quarterbacks now running, and I'm not sure that they really would want to do this, but I know they've been instructed to do it. They get ready to get tackled, and what do? They fall down. You know,
they slide. They do the baseball
slide, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
well, hey, you know what? And in a way, I don't blame them. The team instructed them. I guarantee the team is instructed most of the times because they can't afford to have them lost. I mean, they're going to get creamed, and then they could be lost for games on end or for the season or whatever. So, yeah, I don't blame it. There's a lot of money, and that's the thing. There's a lot of money involved here.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of money. You got to pay somebody to in the hospital, and then now they're trying to soften the rules as to how hard you can hit somebody. You know, if you hit somebody head on, you can actually be fined now now they call it a cheap shot.
Yeah, well, this is all because of the fact that this concussion thing going on, and they did a movie on it with Will Smith. But the thing is there's litigation and money involved, and so it's going to eventually come down to the point where you're not going to football as we remember it won't be what you see on TV anymore.
Okay, but let's bring it down to the basic fact here when we talk about things like athletes and sports, especially contact sports, is that nobody has put a gun to these people's heads and told them to play it.
That doesn't matter. That does not matter. These leagues they're afraid of being litigated to death.
Yeah,
and so they're going to put it, because what they're going to say is part of the litigation would be, you did not do enough to protect these people.
Right. And never mind the fact that we're paying them millions of dollars.
It doesn't matter. You didn't do enough to protect them.
Yeah.
You could have done more, which is always a subjective thing.
Yeah, well, I see the way I look at it, what gets me going is when I hear words like exploitation. These business owners, these franchise owners, these football people, and the implication is that they're all white and they're just using the poor black boy off the plantation to make more money off of them, and they're exploiting them. And I'm thinking, when you get paid $30 million to do something that kids do for free, you're not being exploited. You're overpaid, for one thing, and two, you have volunteered to do it. So, don't tell me that you're being exploited. If you sign the contract saying, I'm willing to put my health and my body at risk for $30 million, okay, that's fine.
And they know that. And and I don't blame them for getting paid. God love them for getting paid. All right?
Yeah.
But again, the exploitation thing is, no, that's not how this is going. Now, previously, especially in baseball before the Curt Flood thing and you had free agency, I could understand it because there was a monopoly. You could not move freely from team to team to team to team to make your money. But I understand that. Yes, things were changed. But nowadays, it's like, no. So the guys that were playing 40, 50, 80 years ago, those were the guys that got exploited. But even still, they signed it freely. They knew what they were doing.
Right. Yeah, Johnny Unitas, at the peak of his career, made $18,000 a year. And it has nothing to show for it. But he chose to do that.
Yes.
And if you talk to him today, he doesn't whine and moan and groan about the fact that, I only got paid X number of dollars to go out and play football. He's like, that was the nature of the beast. Now you got guys that are sitting there going, they're only paying me $30 million.
Only, yeah, okay. Give me that for half. Let me go and make for 3 plays if I can survive that, and then I'll be happy.
I'll tell you what, you could give me 10.
I might be able to walk, but I'll be happy.
You can give me $10,000 and I'll go out and put on a uniform for a day. You can beat the hell out of me all you want.
No. You're going to pay me $30 million.
And now we take it even to the more extreme here. While we got a minute or so here left here.
Barely.
This UFC fighting. Have you ever watched that?
It's a brutal thing, dude.
That is a brutal sport. And no, I don't hear anybody say anything about that. And maybe there are, but I don't hear anybody saying anything. I walk in the house, my kids watch it. I see them watching, I'm like, turn that off. I'm not going to watch that here. That stuff that's brutal.
Yeah, it is truly as a gladiator sport, modern day gladiator kind of thing.
Yeah.
And to call it a sport is.
Yeah, if I want that kind of crap, I'll watch a Trump rally, for crying out loud.
Well,
anyway, guys, we got to go to break here. When we come back, we'll get into a little more serious topic, or let's say a little more relevant to what's going on in the country today. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world. Then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And, moving on to this next segment that we want to talk about here, couple of things involved in it in terms of people, circumstances, situations, I guess, that has coming to light here. The latest hokey poke by the left.
Hokey doke. Hokey doke.
Yeah. To distract from what's really relevant right now. But last week, I don't know how many of you paid attention to what was going on. Last week, Barack Obama went out on the campaign trail again, and he wasn't out campaigning for Hillary Clinton. He was out campaigning for his legacy. He was out trying to reassure America that everything he's done has just been great for America, and the only reason it hasn't taken hold to a greater extent, of course, is because we've had too many Republicans in office over the years. That's really what it comes down to. And one of the things he did was he talked about gun control. He was at an NPR after his long-winded self-praising, self-lauding
it's a victory lap. And how great the economy's doing.
Yeah, how great the economy's doing. And if you really don't understand how great the economy's doing, then you must be a blithering idiot. That's kind of like the way he was kind of framing things. But one of the things he did after was he talked to the audience at NPR and talked to an audience at NPR. And he was asked about gun control, and I'll cover that a little bit later. But it also set off a talk, another thread on gun control, in which Hillary Clinton ended up being face to face with George Stephanopoulos on Sunday, which, by the way, was in no way an honest endeavor in journalism. I've got some comments I'll make about that later, but there was an exchange that took place about gun control, and so I'm going to turn it over to Joe here because he really has the details on this in terms of how it all went down.
Well, I mean, Hillary Clinton, and one of the major reasons why I don't ever want to have Hillary Clinton get anywhere near the White House again is this: she'll have her responsibility as the executive branch to nominate people for the Supreme Court, because as our other friends have always said, they can barely fog a mirror up there on the Supreme Court with these people. So there are going to be at least 3 probably Supreme Court justices calling it quits, whether either God comes and takes them or they just somehow get a sane moment and decide they've had enough. But Hillary Clinton's out there on Stephanopoulos with, I don't know what the name of that show is, This Week with George and Hillary.
Yeah, This Week. It's just called This Week. Yeah.
Oh, This Week. This week, on this day, George Stephanopoulos, he's that guy that used to be on Sesame Street. No, that's Snuffleupagus. Snuffies, yeah. No, Stephanopoulos. And he's out there with Hillary, and he asks Hillary some questions about the Second Amendment. And I want people to pay attention to this. This is the major reason why I can't stand to have Hillary Clinton be here being POTUS. I might not like what Trump will do, but Hillary's far worse. And this is why. Just listen to this clip with these two.
Do you believe that an individual's right to bear arms is a constitutional right, that it's not linked to service in a militia?
For most of our history, there was a nuanced reading of the Second Amendment until the decision by the late Justice Scalia. And there was no argument until then that localities and states and the federal government had a right as we do with every amendment, to impose reasonable regulations. So I believe we can have common sense gun safety measures consistent with the Second Amendment.
But that's not what I asked. I said, do you believe that their conclusion that an individual's right to bear arms is a constitutional right?
If it is a constitutional right, then it, like every other constitutional right, is subject to reasonable regulations.
If it's a constitutional right. Well, if Hillary becomes president, you can try to work up the changes to the Constitution, Hillary. Shall not be infringed. Key phrase. So, I don't quite understand, but this is what she's all about, people. She will appoint people on the Supreme Court who will get rid of the Second Amendment. They will do it through judicial means, and then I don't know if they have the cojones to do it through the constitutional process to change the Constitution.
Yeah, well, this fits the narrative. The narrative of the left is that what they're trying to do, and we've talked about this so many times on the show, when you talk about liberals, what they're trying to do, this is another lesson in deconstructionism and redefinition. Yep. This is taking something that was written with a strict intent and purpose. The Second Amendment was established because one of the things that happened that brought about the American Revolution was, one, forcing private citizens to home or house soldiers, and two, the confiscation of weapons, trying to confiscate weapons so that the colonists could not resist any forceful attempt by the government to make them do what they wanted them to do. So,
absolutely. So do you think that you think back in the days of our founders, they were worried about a deer running wild, a bear running wild, or was it more, hey, they were more worried about a government, a tyrannical government overtaking the people and doing exactly what King George did? Right.
One of the inalienable rights that our framers were mentioning when they said we were all endowed by our Creator was certain unalienable rights. One of them was the right to personal property, and two, the right to defend oneself. Okay, that was instrumental. It was foundational on the founding of our republic. Now,
so, in other words, when you're born, you have this right to be free. You have this right. It's in you. The minute you are born, it's inalienable. In other words, it's given to you from God to be a free man.
Right. Or a woman.
Or a woman, or potted plant, or whatever it is you're identifying yourself today.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. This right to bear arms was for the sole purpose of being able to defend oneself against government intrusion, forceful government intrusion. It was not created so that people could go deer hunting. It was not created so that people could do target practice. It was not created for all the things that people like to associate gun ownership with, recreational sport and stuff like that. It was for the sole purpose of being able to defend one's family, oneself and one's family and one's property against the intrusion and oppression by the government under which they were living. And that is the sole intent of the Second Amendment. So everything that the leftists try to do is in the process of redefining things. What we're basically saying is we're not really trying to curtail the rights of ownerships of responsible citizens, that kind of thing. Well, I still can't get my head around this idea that the more laws you pass, somehow it's just like another version of the Coulter theorem, that if we elect enough moderates that all of a sudden they'll all turn into conservatives. Is the idea being that if we pass enough laws on gun control, the bad guys will quit doing bad things?
Oh, well, we can just look at Chicago. It's got some of the most common sense gun control laws on the books, and it's a war zone.
Right. In fact, we're going to go to the break right now because you just gave me the perfect lead-in for what I wanted to follow up, what Joe's talking about here. Hillary Clinton trying to explain away the purpose of the Second Amendment and saying really what it comes down to is we need common sense gun control laws to keep people from getting killed. And I got something here because Barack Obama, in his speech last week, or in this little group that he had together, was confronted with this very same question. And his response is right up the alley of what Joe was just saying. So let us do our short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. All
right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And if you listen to us on a regular basis, you may notice that Bob Cardosa from Robert Cardosa Live is not with us today. We were notified by him just before the show that he has an emergency in his household. His daughter was rushed to the hospital for surgery. And so we want to put out our prayers and well wishes for the Cardosa family. And I'm sure I'm hoping and believing that everything will be okay. So those of you out there who believe in prayer, do us a favor and shoot a short one out for Bob and his family, that his daughter will be fine, whatever's going on with her. We don't know the details, but it seemed rather sudden because it was like 15 minutes before we went on the air, we were notified. So it's something that just came up and had to happen. So our best out to Bob and his family, and we pray for a speedy recovery, whatever the situation is. Okay, now, getting back to this gun control thing, as Joe was talking about with Hillary Clinton, and the leftist narrative that we need, quote-unquote, common sense laws.
Common sense gun safety laws.
Yeah.
Really? Common sense gun safety law is like, hey, the dangerous end of the weapon, don't look at that, or don't point it at people you don't intend on shooting. That's kind of common sense gun safety law. Or common sense gun safety law would be always treat a weapon as if it's loaded.
Right. And what we were taught in the military, never point it at anybody unless you intend to shoot them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And shoot straight and shoot often until they no longer shoot back.
Right. Exactly. Now, along this line, Obama also offered his narrative. And it was because of Obama's speech, actually, or this encounter he had at this town hall style meeting after his speech in Indiana last week, that provoked the confrontation between George Stephanopoulos and Hillary Clinton. And by the way, I like, again, don't ever accuse George Stephanopoulos of honest journalism. Anything he does, especially when it comes to the Clintons, is for the purpose of helping them in damage control. He sounded very confrontational during the entire interview with Hillary Clinton, but I guarantee you all that was his premise. What he was doing, he was representing the court of public opinion and scolding Hillary for the purpose of her being able to apologize once again and, in her own words, put this all behind us.
Yes, we must put it all behind us. This is old news. I can't believe we're talking about it.
Yeah. George is basically, in essence, what he was saying was, shame on you, Hillary, for getting caught once again doing something you weren't supposed to do. And she's like, yes, and I'm sorry I did it. I shouldn't have done it. And let's move on.
Would you like popsicle now, Hillary? Yeah.
Okay. So, now, here we go. Obama, like I said, had met with a group at NPR, and he was asked by a gun shop owner a question. Now, the question the media put out there, they never even mentioned the question, or they did. One article I read, they quoted the first line of the question. I want to put this all in context, and so that you better really kind of understand what we refer to on the show as liberal doublespeak. The ability to say something without saying anything. Okay, now, the question that you see quoted in some of the articles that are floating around there, one of the headlines, Obama is harsh with this guy in a group, and he takes a stand. You know, he's standing up for what he believes in, that kind of stuff. And the question that he asked, or the question that was being quoted, the part of the question that was being quoted was this: why do you and Hillary want to control and restrict gun manufacturers, gun owners, and the responsible use of guns and ammunition to the rest of us, the good guys? Now, that is the question that I saw in at least 3 articles. Okay? Now, I'm going to read you the entire question.
Yeah, there's more to that question.
There's a lot more to that question, and it falls in line with what Joe had just mentioned before the break about Chicago. Listen to this. This was the entire question. Why do you and Hillary want to control and restrict gun manufacturers, gun owners, and the responsible use of guns and ammunition to the rest of us, the good guys, instead of holding the bad guys accountable for their actions? And, Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to use Chicago, your hometown, a city that has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, a city that for decades and still is under Democratic control, a city that has an outrageous and even embarrassing murder rate, as my first example. Why can't we round up these thugs, these drug dealers, and gang members and hold them accountable for their actions and allow the good people in Chicago access to firearms to protect themselves? That's the entire question in context.
Yes.
Okay, never quoted by anybody in the media. Okay, and Obama never answered any aspect of this question at all. Okay, what he did was he attempted to disarm what's the word? Dilute. He attempted to dilute the intent of the question, what the gun owner was actually asking him. And it says here, I'm just reading from the article, just a couple of paragraphs here. Obama's answer is both defensive and dissembling. He begins by imputing an argument to the question that was never made, that Obama simply wants to confiscate guns. At no point have I ever proposed confiscating guns from responsible gun owners. Well, that wasn't what the guy said. The guy said, why are you coming after people that are law-abiding citizens, trying to take their guns instead of going after the bad guys that are using guns in the wrong manner? And by the way, let's take your hometown as an example, who has the worst law, or the most laws, the strictest laws, and yet the highest murder rate. Why? What's the deal here? Now, let me shift gears here. Excuse me. Let me see if I actually copied that article. I might have pasted it in the wrong place. Oh, I guess I didn't do it. I know I had it, but I didn't do it. Okay, anyway.
Which article?
Well, the article I was looking for was the article that I was just kind of referring to here a moment ago.
Yeah, I got it up here. What part are you looking for?
I'm looking for Obama's answer.
Well, I said at no point have I ever proposed confiscating your guns from responsible owners. And they said that's not to say I wouldn't make an argument in the fact that Obama and Hillary Clinton have both proposed gun confiscation after the Charleston massacre, church massacre. Obama cited Australia's gun control reforms of the 1990s, which was nothing but gun confiscation.
Yeah, well, that's not the article I was looking for. I had a different one. I'm looking it up right now here.
Okay.
I thought I had actually put it on my notes here, and I guess I didn't. Maybe I just excuse me. I guess I just didn't do it. Here we go. Here we go. I should have. Just give me 1 second, folks. Just bear with me here. I'll just continue to make noise so that we don't have.
We'll shuffle papers like we're actually looking at stuff.
Okay, here it is. This is the article I was talking about. Excuse me. Gotta burn my throat here. All right. This is by Yahoo. Jeremy Burke over in Yahoo. Now, here's the way that they framed it here.
Okay.
The article says, President Barack Obama stuck around after the PBS NewsHour town hall in Elkhart, Indiana, on Wednesday to answer a few questions. He had some strong words for a gun store owner who asked him why he and Hillary Clinton, the Democratic presidential frontrunner, wanted to supposedly restrict and control the use of guns for the good guys. Okay, that's how they phrased the question that the gun owner, And now here's what Obama said. I just came today from a meeting in the Situation Room in which I got people who we know have been in ISIL websites living here in the United States, U.S. citizens, and we're allowed to put them on a no-fly list when it comes to airlines, but because of the National Rifle Association, I cannot prohibit these people from buying a gun. Well, one, it isn't your place to prohibit anybody from doing anything. You're only the freaking president, for crying out loud. You're not God. And you're not Caesar. You're not the emperor. And he blames the National Rifle Association for his inability to do this, not the Second Amendment.
That's bullcrap.
Okay, now he goes on. This is somebody who is a known ISIL sympathizer. And if he wants to walk into a gun store or a gun show right now and buy as many weapons and ammo as he can, nothing's prohibiting him from doing that, even though the FBI knows who that person is. So,
That's
sir,
right. And you know why? Because he hasn't committed a crime.
Right. And why is he on the watch list? Well, you say he's on ISIL. Since when did you start being concerned, Mr. President, with who is a member of ISIS? They're your buddies. They're just those extremists out there. But he's not that concerned. And why are you putting so many Americans on the watch list, anyways? You know, because you determine. Is that what you do? You label people that you feel might be opponents to what you believe in. Well, let me finish this answer here. Boy, why is my mouth not working today? So, sir, I just have to say respectfully that there is a way for us to have common sense gun laws. Same as Hillary Clinton, the same echo right there, okay? But the only way we're going to do that is if we don't have a situation in which anything that is proposed is viewed as some tyrannical destruction of the Second Amendment. What he's basically saying is, we're only going to be able to do that if you guys quit bringing up this Second Amendment thing. If you guys would quit talking about the Second Amendment, we'd be able to sell this narrative that we have to have common sense gun control laws because there's just too many people being killed with guns.
Yeah, tell that to the people dying in Chicago where you can't get it. You know, criminals don't give a crap about gun laws, okay? Straight up.
Yeah. Criminals don't care about any laws. Otherwise, they wouldn't be criminals.
Oh, yeah, it must be the nature of the beast. I'm glad we came up with that before the break. That's awesome.
So anyway, hey, we are at the top of the hour. And we got to do a break here, time for the Edwards Notebook, and run a couple of quick ads here and pay some bills. We'll be back for hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Should we be promoting work ethic and entrepreneurship to American children, or more Big Brother government? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it has been stated that what is taught to one generation dictates the direction the nation takes in the next. So when I see American children being persecuted by big nanny-goat government for doing what I and many others did across America as children, it's more than a bit disconcerting. One of the joys of childhood has always been to strike out on one's own and set up a little lemonade stand. The rewards for operating such a business, including learning responsibility, how to interact with customers, and earn a little money, and learn general entrepreneurship, etc. All good stuff. So now big nanny goat government in states like Louisiana have decided to be a killjoy and ticket young lemonade stand operators for not having a license. So instead of allowing American children to learn and benefit from positive free market activities and lessons, big government is on the muscle teaching children that it's okay for big government to bully people, ruin business activity, and so on, and that you too can grow up to be a big government pain in the backside. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Okay, we're back, and this is hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives, and I am your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. Hey, I want to touch real briefly here, just kind of a follow-up on what we were talking about in the first hour on the gun control thing. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and all the other leftists out there trying to once again deconstruct and redefine the Constitution and basically put words in our framers' mouths that, you know, anything written in the Constitution is subject to regulation. Anything. Yeah. And it's a living document where it needs to change with the times, yada yada yada. And I think it was kind of a cheap shot that Hillary Clinton referred to Antonin Scalia's situation, that seeing that he can't defend himself. But that's not unlike liberals to do
well, it would be
like
pretty awesome if he did defend himself from the grave. That would be something to see.
Yeah, well, it would definitely give me a new god, that's for sure.
Well, it'd be something to go, well, just don't be messing with that anymore, Hillary.
Yeah, anyway, during the break, I was just, do what I do during the break here, the long break, is I kind of scan through to see if there's anything breaking that we could cover, that would be more relevant or relevant to what's happening at the very moment. Yeah. And lo and behold, there was an article that just came out. Governor Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina.
North Carolina. South Carolina.
Just signed. South Carolina is Lindsey Graham's turf. Okay, so yeah. We don't have to say much more than that as far as South Carolina goes. North Carolina.
No,
Nikki
she's in
Haley.
South Carolina, John.
Huh?
She's in South Carolina.
Yeah, Nikki Haley, South Carolina, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I had it right the first time. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, she just signed legislation that allows interstate carrying concealed weapons interstate between South Carolina and Georgia.
Yay!
Okay, and it being because there are people that work in Georgia that drive to South Carolina, and there's people in South Carolina that drive to Georgia. And apparently some of these people carry concealed weapons. And so she signed legislation in line with the belief, well, I guess with Georgia, that allows people in Georgia and South Carolina to carry firearms, concealed firearms, into either states. Now, I'm waiting to see how the left responds to this, or if they do respond.
Oh, it's going to be horrible. Oh, the death and carnage. Oh.
Yeah. And the next thing we know is they're going to start accusing gun shop owners in South Carolina and or Georgia of transporting guns across the border, of course, for what? For criminals to be able to get their hands on.
Yes, I mean, there's going to be a border war between South Carolina and Georgia. Yeah, at the rest stops there, just as you come across the border, there's going to be shootouts there by these people carrying concealed weapons.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this was the argument that was being presented in Chicago just a few months ago when they were making accusations of Vermont, which, by the way, is a very liberal state, Chicago, or Illinois, which is also a very liberal state. And the people in Chicago were complaining that the people in Vermont were bringing guns in from Vermont into Chicago.
That's a hell of a trip, man.
Yeah, and that's why there was so much gun violence in the Chicago area. Was because these northern liberals were transporting guns in from Vermont.
From Vermont.
Yeah, Vermont of all places,
I would think more like Indiana than Vermont, okay? It's just a little closer.
Yeah, I mean, what do you need a gun for in Vermont? I mean, who actually lives there?
Well, that crazy socialist bastard, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, Howard Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would justify carrying a firearm.
Well, just kind of hold your sanity down and go, whoa, what was that?
Because no matter where you live in Vermont, you're within driving distance of Howard Dean,
Well, yeah, it's like being in Rhode Island. You're there and then you're not.
Yeah.
But that's just insane, man. What do you mean that the people from Vermont are bringing weapons into to Illinois? I mean, It's a whole other time zone.
A whole completely other way. Talk about the Twilight Zone. I mean, come on.
Besides that, you can't get weapons legally into Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Vermont really just one large suburb, anyways?
Of like Boston, maybe.
Yeah.
But not Chicago, not Illinois.
I mean, we don't hear about ghettos in Vermont. We don't hear about urban centers. We don't hear about metropolitans. That's because the state isn't big enough to have any of them. I mean, I've seen there's probably malls out there bigger than Vermont.
Well, there could be, but there's plenty of stuff going on in Vermont. Not to desecrate a whole state of our fine union, but to say that they're coming from Vermont to Illinois to bring illegal weapons, that's just insane.
Yeah,
for crying out. That's just why not? Why does it have to be Vermont? Why can't it be like, I don't know, Hawaii or Alaska? I mean, if you want to go, let's make the trek, boys. To offload our illegal weapons in Illinois.
You think they would bring up something like Texas? Texas.
How about like I said? How about like Indiana or Iowa or I don't know, Michigan, someplace closer?
Yeah, but good old Vermont took the hit. That was. I chuckled at that. I'm like, okay,
I know what they were doing. They were stuffing their illegal weapons in all those cartons and crates of maple syrup.
Well, here's something. Maybe this is what set it off. I don't know. I'm just having fun with this. The idea a few years ago, actually back when I started a radio show here, back in late 2007, 2008, I ran across a guy who was running in Colorado at the time for the House. His name was Rob McNeely, and he was a libertarian. And he ended up, from what he said, I don't know if he actually ever did this or not, but he was actually in the process, when he didn't get elected to office, he's in the process of moving to Vermont, because that seems to be the gathering place where most of these survivalist libertarian types think they're going to end up at. I think it was Vermont. It might have been New Hampshire. But anyway, they're all going to move up in the Northeast and basically barricade themselves inside these states. When the government finally, initiates martial law and confiscates everybody's guns, and they're going to make their final stand there. So that just a little.
For me, I would go someplace warmer.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, we got to go to our short break here. When we come back, we'll continue here. I want to get into. I want to share something with you about the Miss Universe contest. There's some very good context here, and something that just took place in this. It has to do with the election that's going on right now. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. Today on Moments of Madness. A recent fundraising email from the National Republican Senate Committee, NRSC, composed by House Speaker Paul Ryan and forwarded by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as if to give it a sense of super double importance, underscores the complete disconnect between the GOP's establishment and those they claim they desire so much to represent. The same can be said of their liberal colleagues on the left. Senator McConnell once again attempts to sway registered voters to support the GOP majority by reciting its far too predictable incantation. Without Republican leadership in both chambers of Congress, conservatives will not be able to pass the policies necessary to get our country back on track and restore the American dream. This entire claim by the NRSC is in and of itself as oxymoronic as it is insulting to any voter who embraces the pure ideological premise of limited government that defines authentic conservatism. Those like McConnell, Ryan, and Lucifer's texting buddy, John Boehner, have long marginalized their base, except when dusting off the mantle of constitutional integrity and voter trust that otherwise lies dormant between layers of false rhetoric, lack of diligence, and outright corruption between election cycles. Truth is, today there's absolutely no representation by any true Republicans any more than there is any evidence of leadership by any conservatives in both chambers of Congress. Here's the madness. While Speaker Ryan and Senate Majority Leader McConnell once again trust the stupidity of the American voter to blindly buy into their recycled template of majority means efficiency, they do so at their own peril. The presumptive nomination of Donald Trump, as well as a hangnail of the DNC, Uncle Bernie, indicates an oncoming tsunami of a dissatisfied, disenfranchised, ticked-off electorate who are not only ready for change, but ready to raise our entire system to the ground through a scorched earth strategy, complete with protests and riots that resurrect memories of the Weather Underground and Black Panther Party. There is indeed a unification of electoral allies forming, but these groups are not user-friendly towards each other or the establishment stalwarts that roam the halls of Congress. Donald Trump has incited a huge segment of the silent majority that makes up middle America that is so incensed at a government so intent on saving itself at the cost of our republic, they willingly line up for hours to listen to Trump's isolationist doctrine spewed under the brand of Make America Great Again. Even voters who once ranted religiously about vetting candidates that reverently follow principles of conservatism now line up behind their great orange hope, the Pied Piper of populism. Prepared to walk off the cliff, completely blind, they are embracing one of the main players who has helped orchestrate our current state of demise. In the words of Democratic pollster Mark Malman, Bernie Sanders is posting Kim Jong II-like numbers among young people, and those are people with no connection or loyalty to the Clintons whatsoever. Yet the DNC establishment, like its more than moderate counterpart who only physically occupies the right side of the aisle, also believe this demographic will eventually fall into line next to their already marginalized minorities, soccer moms, and Hollywood celebrities. The leftist establishment is just as oblivious to the reality. The dumbed-down collective they created over decades of pandering shows every indication the next generation is ready and willing to embrace Uncle Bernie's idiocracy in exchange for taxpayer-subsidized beer bongs and contraception stocked in transgender bathrooms throughout the safe spaces that now identify America's public education system. Yes, the disconnect between both establishment and the electorate they claim they represent is as obvious as an Obama photoshopped birth certificate to the discerning eye. It reminds me of the conversation between teacher Richard Vernon, played by Paul Gleason, and janitor Carl, John Capellos, in The Breakfast Club.
Hey, Carl, you think I give one rat's ass what these kids think? I said, you think about this. When you get old, these kids, when I get old, they're going to be running the country. Now, this is the thought that wakes me up in the middle of the night. That when I get older, these kids are going to take care of me. I wouldn't count on it.
To echo Carl's observation, neither should we. Yes, there is change in the air. We the people sense it and hear the call to do something, anything, no matter how reckless. On the other hand, the elites who have been ignored by us too long sense it also, but don't have a clue to just how close their world is to total upheaval. Somewhere in between hangs our republic. Maybe we need someone to send them an email reminding them who they are and what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't count on them reading it, though, or doing anything about it. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. All right, hey, we are back. And hey, I want to just start this segment off by reminding you can visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and catch any and all of our shows. Anything we've done is there, and anything you want to find out about the show and the people on it is there also. So that's theconservativesyndicate.net. Now, I want to just touch briefly here, because I want to give Joe time to cover a topic that may take us over the course of the week, actually. The situation with Hillary and her emails. But I wanted to touch on this real quick because this is just so demonstrative or so illustrated. Illustrative of what's going on right now in terms of the entire political correctness. You remember a couple of years ago, I think it was, in Miss America or Miss Universe, whatever, when one of the candidates, the Miss America, I think she ended up winning the Miss America pageant. I think it was
Bridgewater, I think was her last name.
Yeah, and she was asked about the homosexual issue. And her response, it was a gay marriage. It was a homosexual marriage. And she said that, she believed that marriage was between a man and a woman. That's how she was raised. And you'll remember that Perez Hilton, one of the leading advocates of the homosexual community, activist community, was one of the judges.
Yeah.
And they tried to roast this girl. They tried to just basically just take her to task and all but remove. In fact, that's, I think, was one of the things that led to the parting of ways between Donald Trump and Perez Hilton, because Perez Hilton was actually, believe it or not, hired by Donald Trump. You know, the xenophobe, okay? The homophobe, you know, all this other, everything else has been tagged on him. So anyway, but people were really upset about the fact that the question was asked in the first place, because this isn't something that should have been brought up at a beauty pageant, right?
Yeah, you would think so, because, you know, this beauty pageant stuff, you know, it's right up, right next to nuclear weapons as far as importance.
Yeah, you would think the pageant would have refrained from that kind of thing. So anyway, Miss Hawaii here. We're talking about the Miss USA finals, and Miss Hawaii was asked this question: if the election were held tomorrow, would you vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump for president, and why would you choose one over the other? Now, you got to ask, the first questions out of your mouth got to be, why would you ask somebody in a beauty pageant this question anyway? I mean, not only is it not relevant to what's going on, but it's purposely, you could tell it's purposely put there. I wonder who decided to ask the question, but even more so, to bring politics into the Miss USA pageant.
It's a hit job. It's a hit job.
Huh?
It was a hit job.
Yeah.
And the person responded to it. It was Laura Brown. Hi guys, I asked the question I was given, and Miss Hawaii answered beautifully. That was what she put on a tweet.
Okay, now
it was like, that's the question I was given to ask her. It's like, really?
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
It was the only one that you had.
Obviously, I believe the question was probably asked for the sole purpose of bringing the provocation that it did, so that it would bring attention to the pageant itself. Because when that happened with the other, the winner of the USA pageant, Miss America pageant a few years ago, the Miss America pageant got more attention than they'd ever had before.
Well, if you want to bring attention to it, have a bathing suit malfunction then.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I could say like 10 different things right now. Okay, but her response was, so just read your response and make a quick comment, and we'll move on here. It says, her response was, it doesn't matter what gender. What we need in the United States is someone who represents those of us who don't feel like we have a voice. Those of us who want our voices heard. We need a president to push for what is right and push for what America really needs. Now, I got to tell you on the surface, that sounds like a Trump supporter. But that's just my take out of this thing. I'm not saying she is. So don't go out there on Twitter and say John Matthews, Conservative Syndicate, says that whatever this girl's name is, I don't even know what her name is. You know, they don't even refer to, oh, there it is, Chelsea Harden, okay? Miss Chelsea Harden. I don't know what her thinking was behind it.
I don't care. It sounded fairly like an American answer to me.
Yeah, but a very, very appropriate answer considering the circumstances. Yeah. And that is, I think every American wants the right person. You know, whatever that means to every American respectively, but that's what they want. Nobody wants the wrong person. You know, even if they're voting for the wrong person, in their mind they still think they're the right person.
Yes,
okay?
I mean, absolutely, because, you know, we have those people out there voting for Hillary Clinton because don't we just need a woman in the White House?
Yeah. I think Barack Obama proved that motivation or that reasoning is completely ass backwards. You know, you're going to vote for the guy because of the color of his skin.
Yeah.
I wonder if Stephen Curry is going to run for president. What do they say about him?
I don't.
He's more than a fair-skinned Negro, as Joe Biden referred to Barack Obama. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Now, I'm just saying, totally inappropriate, probably done for publicity to try to garner some publicity. I wouldn't be surprised to find out Perez Hilton was the one behind it, you know, that kind of thing. But it just, once again, how everything today is touched by division. Everything today is touched by political rancor and the volatile, the very volatile electorate that we have today, and a lot of it is just based so much on the ignorance of people and it's all about emotion. Let's keep everything emotional. That's the thing. If the leftists ever lose that emotional leverage, then they're gone. They're done for. Okay.
Yeah, they'll disappear for 100 years. We can only pray that happens.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So let's just move on there. I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Pretty telling, though. I mean, it does. I mean, it's one of the reasons why people that don't pay attention to politics at all, or don't want to pay attention to politics because of this. That doesn't need to be there. I mean, what usefulness did it in selecting the Miss America?
Yeah, I don't know the relevance behind being Miss America and being president of the United States.
It's like would you like to see a basket of kittens or a basket of puppies killed on primetime TV? Tell us.
Yeah, or if we can use the old the little soundbite from Lindsey Graham, do you want to die by bullet or by poison? You know. Okay, now let's move on here to the issue of the emails here. We've been the
emails thing with Hillary Clinton. You know what Hillary Clinton said yesterday? She said that everybody knew she was doing what she was doing. Everybody. Yeah. So she just implicated the entire government. Anybody that ever emailed her anything knew that was going to an unsecure email server, according to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and amazing is that even when she was confronted, like I said, let's set this up here. We were talking earlier about the interview she had with George Stephanopoulos.
Yes.
And that's what I meant about let's not accuse Stephanopoulos of honest journalism. Okay, he was questioning Hillary about the email. And he asked her, do you admit that what you did knowingly? That's really the essence of what he was saying. Are you going to admit that you knowingly violated rules and did what you wanted to do because you wanted to do it? And she basically, she didn't answer it that way, but what she did was she kept trying to play it off on the fact that I think the IG report, has actually vindicated me. That was her first response. I think the report vindicated me, proved that I didn't do anything wrong, and that everybody else had done
it. That is not the report I read.
Yeah, and everybody else had been doing it before me, and it wasn't that big of a deal, you know. And I think the report vindicates me that, and the rules that everybody's talking about weren't really clarified until after I left office. All three of those statements are lies.
Yep, every one of them.
Because Obama had gone out of his way to publish directives as to what they could and could not do at the State Department. That's already been brought up. Her own boss is the one that had set rules in place about what people could and could not do. Excuse me. Oh, wait, I got this cough. It just won't go away. Anyway, but he came back again and asked her once again, I think at least 3 different times. He asked her, are you willing to admit that you did what you did knowing that you were breaking the rules? And each time she tried to deflect it, and she kept coming back with this answer. Her basic answer was, I didn't do anything that anybody else before me hasn't done. In fact, she even implicated John Kerry. She said, well, even John Kerry, his first 3 months when he stepped into the office, was using private email. Well, I bet that went over well with John Kerry.
If he's awake and paying attention.
Yeah. So she just kept coming back and saying, no, it doesn't really make any difference. And then he asked her, well, has the FBI contacted you yet to talk with you? And she said, no, they haven't, but I'm waiting for them to do that, and I'm more than willing to do this so that we can, quote unquote, put this behind us.
Yeah, that's the Clintonian way.
Right. We got to do whatever we have to do to put this behind us. She admitted that, it was a mistake. I didn't think about it. If I had it to do over again, I'd do it different. Blah blah blah. But that doesn't change the nature of the charges. So, but anyway. So Stephanopoulos, it looked like, on the surface, and the media tried to play it up there. Stephanopoulos went after. Don't believe it, not for a moment. What it was an attempt to scold her publicly through the media. Let's scold Hillary. Let's make her really feel bad about what she did, so that she can apologize and hang her head in sorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
And now that she's been scolded and she's been punished, let's move on. Okay, that's the intent. Anything Sinopolis has to do with the Clintons, I can guarantee you, is staged, strategized, and has an end game other than anything it's supposed to be.
Which is sad because it's supposed to be a news report. It's supposed to be, a straight up, we're going to get some facts here and we're going to get this on the record on national television. But no, this might as well be a private conversation in a little back room in a bar somewhere with Hillary Clinton and George Stephanopoulos.
Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to a break. We're going to, boy, my tongue is tied today. I can't believe it.
You got Monday tongue.
Yeah, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about Cheryl Mills' disposition.
Yes.
Because this thing is as entertaining as it is educating. Great lesson in how to say something without saying anything. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, we are back. You are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, Mad Prophet of the Airways, along with my co-host, Joe, You Can't Handle the Truth, Hakos. And we're going to get into the deposition handed out by Cheryl Mills last week, or at least we got the notes on it last week. And this is quite interesting in how this whole thing went down and how it will probably continue to go down. I don't know, what's her name, Human Adabine? Has she given a deposition yet?
Homa? Mrs. Anthony Weiner, I believe. I don't think she has yet. So, or she has. It's been very recent.
Okay.
But let's just remember now. This was conducted on May 27th, right? And
okay.
This is Cheryl Mills, who was Hillary Clinton's former chief of staff while she was Secretary of State.
Right.
And what was yesterday's date would have been the 5th of June. So this was almost, 8 days? Something like that? Whatever. This was done on the 27th of May, and Hillary is out there with her buddy George saying everybody knew I was doing this.
Yeah, and this was one of the things that, now let's just set the players here in place just so we have context here. We have Humane Adabine, Mrs. Anthony Weiner. That's probably easier to pronounce.
But she's not in this deposition, okay?
No, she's not. Then there's Brian Pagliano.
Yes, Brian Pagliano, who's the guy that was setting up the email server for Mrs. Clinton or Secretary Clinton or that lying murderous, Mrs. Clinton. Yes.
Yeah, and actually part of the deposition with Cheryl Mills asked her about that. They were trying to
talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to establish a timeline and the position that Pagliano was in when he set up the server. Was he still a state employee, or was he on private contract with Hillary Clinton, or was it one or both, or neither? That kind of thing. So we can talk about that later. But what we wanted to focus on now is how the one thing we hear out of all the Clinton people is how much they want to cooperate.
Well, yes, they would like to put this behind us, and let's,
right.
and we've hold on a second. I have it from Podesta, Clinton's campaign chair or guy. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. While the rules surrounding the personal use, personal email account were clarified after Secretary Clinton left, which is BS, and the Inspector General recommends the State Department take measures to even further clarify them, the Secretary has once again acknowledged this was a mistake, and she has taken responsibility for that mistake, including many interviews she's done since the report's release.
Okay.
So it sounds like she wants to be open and transparent, and she's accepting responsibility, correct?
Right. Now,
sure.
We understand that before this deposition took place, parameters were set as to what Cheryl Mills could be asked.
That's correct, because this was a part of a FOIA request from Judicial Watch.
Right. So she...
but a Freedom of Information Act request, FOIA.
Right. And they were actually trying to, I think in the beginning, they were trying to keep the judicial people out of the deposition. No, I think that's what they were doing with Pagliano. They're saying if he has to give a deposition, they don't want it videotaped, and they don't want anybody in the room that is actually looking for the information.
Yeah, and Hillary and her friends and everybody, and including Miss Mills, did not want this deposition, especially the videotape where you can actually see this happening. They don't want that released.
Right. So I'm gonna turn the con over to Joe here, and what he wants to talk about, I believe, here is how this cooperation actually takes place in terms of how attorneys play into all this stuff in terms of scope and what they can answer, what their clients can and cannot answer, what they're being told they can answer, what they're being told they shouldn't answer. So the con is yours, Joe.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. Now we're going to be talking about obviously Cheryl Mills, all right, and then there's a Miss Wilkinson, and Miss Wilkinson happens to work with Beth A. Wilkinson, Hel Brewster, Alexander Walsh, Wilkinson, Walsh, and Eskovitz. And they're in Washington, D.C. They're attorneys. Miss Wilkinson is an attorney that is representing Cheryl Mills. Okay, although Miss Mills is an attorney herself, she has legal representation with this deposition. All right, and we'll also be here on the behalf of Judicial Watch's Ramona Kotka, Kotca, Kotka, and this is just some of the back and forth that as pretty much goes through this. This is 162 pages of fun. This is right now. I'm reading from about page 85 of this, and there's 22 lines per page. This is severe legal form stuff. It's so you can read it easily. I mean, this is. If you've ever seen, been with an attorney, this is how they do these things. So, and so they were talking to Miss Mills, she was talking about who she was talking. She's talking to Miss Mills now, and she's asking a question. And she goes, "Who other?" Constance talks about David Kendall, who is another Hillary Clinton person. Is there anybody else? There are attorneys at work, Williams and Connolly. Blah blah. Who are they? I don't know. I don't know is one of the major things that you hear out of Miss Mills anyway, is I don't recall, or I don't recollect, or I have no recollection of this, or I don't know. She goes, I'm not asking for an entire firm directory. That was Miss Koska. And then she goes, I know, but I'm trying here. But I am being transparent with you. I don't know that I can name, and that's not a reflection because most of my conversations are with David Kendall, but I know there are other attorneys, obviously, there who worked on matters involved represent Secretary Clinton. There were obviously agents of her that I also engaged in conversation with. Remember, she was Mrs. Clinton's, Secretary Clinton's chief of staff. Okay, and then the person asked, okay, just for the attorneys, was it also Heather Samuelson's? And then, boom, Miss Wilkinson chimes in. I'm going to have to object now beyond the scope. And as John was trying to explain, this was the scope of the FOIA request. That's what she's referring to. Ms. Kotka, what's the other objection? And you were asking about non-agents for non-agents and not for agents. You were trying to ask for non-attorney. Ms. Kotka, I am asking who represented Secretary Clinton. That's totally irrelevant to the areas that we are here to talk about. And Mrs. Berman, who represents the State Department on behalf of Cheryl Mills, is one of the other objection as well beyond the scope. Miss Wilkinson, I am going to instruct her not to answer on these issues. If you want to go back to the issues that are the scope within the scope of discovery, she was answering those questions. And then the person for Judicial Watch goes, I want to know the agents of all the names of the agents that you spoke to. Ms. Wilkinson, same objection. I'm going to instruct my client not to answer beyond the scope. We want to know the names of all the attorneys for Secretary Clinton that you spoke with. Ms. Wilkinson, same. It's beyond the scope. Ms. Berman, beyond the scope. Objection. Also the names of all non-agents. Ms. Wilkins, same. Questions who you spoke, same. It's beyond the scope. And even though I don't agree with you by making my objections, I'm somehow influenced the witness to accommodate you. I'm going to ask Ms. Mills to step out so I can make a full factual record. Okay, so earlier in this deposition, Miss Mills' attorney was making objections and then stating why she was making objections, i.e., she was basically coaching her client during the deposition, which is not, it's a foul, it's not supposed to be done. And as you can see, so this went on and just about asking Clinton's chief of staff, who were the people that represented Mrs. Clinton. And it's like, as you can see, we went through 3 pages and got nowhere. So, and it goes, a discussion was held off the record, Ms. Wilkins. So I want the record to reflect that Ms. Mills, and then she gets interrupted just one moment for Ms. Mills to leave the room. Ms. Mills leaves the conference room. Ms. Mills is leaving the conference room. You are asking her questions about work she did after she left the department on behalf of Secretary Clinton as her lawyer, preparing her client in an investigation and turning over documents which would be the emails in question, to the State Department. You asked her how she learned information after she left the department. She told you she had no knowledge of how the Clinton non-com account was set up in 2009 when it was. And that's what is relative to the scope here, not what she learned after the fact as a lawyer. That's why I'm instructing her not to answer. Ms. Kotka, as the Judicial Watch person, okay, I did not, for the record, did not ask any questions with respect to what she learned in context of representing her for any investigation. Only specifically with respect to Secretary Clinton returning records back to the State Department. Ms. Wilkinson, when you got the questions about who she talked to, you didn't know why she was collecting the information, and it's not within the scope. It's beyond the scope. She is not going to answer those questions. You asked her what was in the scope, which we let her answer. We did not know what the account was formed in 2009. In March of 2009, she did not know how it was set up, and she said she did know that she transitioned into it. That's what we all agree within the scope. Something she learned after the fact as an attorney representing her client is not something within the scope. Judicial Watch lawyer, we did not ask what she learned from the Secretary Clinton. We asked who she spoke to about that. Okay, now the State Department chimes. What is that is still beyond the scope, Ms. Barrett. What is the relevance of the scope permissible discovery? The setup of the server, but you can't get at that. It's not the information she contemporaneously had at the time. It's all the information she learned earlier. It's not her independent knowledge. Ms. Kotka, correct, but it goes to who knew about the server and the setup at the time it was set up. It's privilege, says Berman. As a lawyer, nowhere in the court's order that, by the way, you agree to were the limits, the discovery with that topic. Okay, says Kotka. So if you'd like to start asking relevant questions first, I think we'd have a lot better basis to be able to move along instead of and figure out what she did know about questions that are with the scope. And we do want to let her answer your questions, but you're going over and over outside the scope questions instead of even figuring out. You still haven't asked her the basic question that are in your scope that you're allowed to ask, which makes it seem like you don't really care about what you're supposed to ask her, and asking her all these things.
So what's happening here is the lawyer for Cheryl Mills is trying to establish a period of time in which Cheryl Mills was an attorney for Clinton, meaning that anything that took place is protected by attorney-client privilege.
That's correct.
Okay, and so they're trying to take what they're trying to do is say she can't answer you because she was acting as an attorney, and anything she knew as she was acting as an attorney is not open for discussion because of this privilege between an attorney and client.
And it's beyond the scope of this FOIA request.
Okay, and so that's really everything Joe just said. That's kind of how we kind of sum it up. They're trying to use the common tactic. We see it in the White House. They're doing the same thing. When they were asked for certain emails between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, what was the response? Executive privilege.
Yeah.
Okay, because of executive privilege, we don't have to divulge what was being said. And the same thing that they're floating with the Obamacare stuff. They're trying to get records on Obamacare, and they're saying no, that's protected under execucutive privilege because
and the Iranian nuclear deal,
right?
Same thing.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It's not enough. We issue things by executive order, but everything we do is protected by executive privilege. Boy, how can you govern? How can there be any check and balance if that's always the case here? We got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I just want to interject one quick comment here, Joe, and then I'll turn it back over to you. You can continue your dissertation here.
Sure.
As Joe was reading through the transcript, and that's what you were hearing, I know if it sounded like a little bit like, jumbly juke, what's the word I'm thinking of?
It's this wonky crap. Okay?
Yeah, if it just sounded like a bunch of rambling, that's what transcripts sound like. Okay. Now, I noticed here, at one point here, let's see where we're at here in the transcript. I'm looking at page 88 here.
Okay.
Mrs. Wilkinson is saying when you got to questions about who she talked to, you didn't know why she was collecting that information, and it's not within the scope, and it is beyond the scope. Now, the scope that we're talking about is her time with Hillary Clinton as chief of staff and her time representing Hillary Clinton as an attorney. And so that's what we're talking about. She previously was chief of staff, and now she's operating as an attorney for Hillary Clinton, and or in that capacity. So her lawyer is saying anything that she has discovered after her tenure as chief of staff is irrelevant within the questioning that this person in this investigation is trying to get in the deposition. Am I right?
Yeah, she's just saying that's privileged information, and she's not going to answer that as is privileged because she was an attorney instead of her chief of staff working for Hillary in that capacity.
Okay, now, as it goes on, later on, I'm looking down now at page 90. Ms. Wilkinson, let me make a suggestion again. Why don't you ask her if she even understood whether there was a server, if she understood how the server was set up in 2009 at the time. She is not going to answer questions about after the State Department period, what she learned as her lawyer. Nowhere in the court's order that, by the way, you agreed to were the limits of your discovery. That is the topic. So the limits of discovery is what she knew when she was chief of staff at the State Department, not as an attorney, which they're claiming she basically is finding everything out now as an attorney, which gives her exemption, that attorney-client privilege, so she shouldn't have to divulge any of that information. That's what is being said here. Now, down page 92, Ms. Kotka says, okay, just for the record, to make it clear, we did not ask anything in respect to what she learned. We asked who she spoke with. Okay, so they weren't asking her for the content of the conversations. They were saying, who have you spoken with? Now, the argument from Mrs. Wilkinson is even that's outside the scope.
Yeah.
Okay, because it still was in the capacity of being an attorney. All right?
Yeah.
But they went off the record at that time. At that moment, when she makes this, she goes, we asked who she spoke with, and let's go off the record. Okay, so at that time, the video specialist says we're off the record, and there was a recess taken. Yes. Now, they come back. Everybody's back in the room.
Yes, 2 minutes later.
Okay, and the question is asked, Ms. Mills, with respect to conversations you had about Secretary Clinton's email was set up, the Clinton email account, did you ever speak with Brian Pagliano? Mrs. Wilkinson, objection, form, foundation, timing, and beyond the scope. So what she's saying is, you can't ask her if she spoke with Brian Pagliano if she was serving in the capacity as an attorney for Hillary Clinton.
She doesn't even give her the chance, though. That's the problem with this.
Yeah. So she says, can you? So the attorney Wilkinson asks, can you rephrase the question? And Ms. Kotka says, yes. Did you ever talk to Brian Pagliano? She put an extra word in there.
Well, then she goes, objection, vague.
Yeah,
and goes, okay, are you instructing her not to answer?
Right.
And then the attorney goes, no. And then she goes, well, please answer then.
Okay. Okay, now, Mills does eventually answer and says it would have been during the period in which I was representing Secretary Clinton when it came up to the setup of her email. So that would be as an attorney.
Yes.
In the office of the attorney, which means at this point, what Cheryl Mills is saying, anything from this point on, I don't have to answer.
Which is crap.
Because of the attorney-client privilege.
It's crap. She wasn't an attorney the entire... So what she's trying to do is say, hey, basically what Wilkinson is trying to say is she was an attorney the entire time she was there at the State Department with Hillary Clinton, which is wrong.
Right.
So, what she's trying to get to.
So what she's basically trying to do is evade that she knew make it look like she had no knowledge of what was actually going on in terms of the email server. Although in other parts of the deposition, she admits that she was sending stuff to her private server.
Yes, and Hillary Clinton said over the weekend that everybody knew she was doing what she was doing. Right. Everybody knew.
Right, so I guess it's everybody else's fault.
So as far as I'm concerned, Hillary Clinton implicated everybody in the State Department that ever sent her an email, Barack Obama, everybody, because they all knew what she was doing.
Which means the bottom line answer here, Hillary Clinton, is, I did not know I was doing anything else wrong, and nobody told me I was doing anything wrong. Therefore, it's everybody else's problem.
Which is wrong because in 2004, there was a State Department memo that says you shouldn't do what she did.
Yeah, and she also signed acknowledging that she knew what she was supposed to do. Okay, so that's kind of like, well, do you just claim, well, I signed the papers without reading them?
Well, yeah, of course. That's well, she came out of the Senate where you pass laws without reading them, i.e., Obamacare.
Yeah. I mean, that's standard operating procedure in the Democrat Party. We sign things that we don't read. We just operate within the scope of whatever our attorneys tell us to do.
It's just amazing how much lack of cooperation they're trying to do with this. That's why they don't want the videotape to be shown, because you will be able to see other things, like all the nonverbal clues and cues that you would see, rolling of the eyes and this and that.
Right.
And the talking back and forth out of earshot between these attorneys as they cooperate with this investigation.
Yeah, and let me give you this closing thought here. We're coming up at the end of the time here. I was just looking at this during the break. The RNC has asked for copies of all these emails also. And the State Department has responded saying it will take 75 years to produce all these documents. 16 and 2/3 years to complete the review of Mills' documents, 33 and 1/3 years to finish the review of Sullivan's documents, and 25 years to wrap up the review of Kennedy documents, or 75 years in total.
So, in other words, piss off and die.
Well, I'll be dead before this comes to an end. That's what it comes down to. Okay, guys, we're done for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock out here in the left coast, 6 o'clock out there in the east coast, and all the time zones in between, because on this show, because of where we and how we broadcast, it's prime time somewhere all the time. We love you guys. Thank you for your loyalty. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.